Every digital system powering modern civilization, from AI trading algorithms and banking ledgers to e-commerce pipelines, operates on an isolated internal clock. They track events using separate, incompatible sampling rates and processing ticks. When these disjointed systems interact, they generate microscopic temporal gaps. A millisecond mismatch between a sensor reading and a database entry creates a void where data loses its objective, verifiable sequence. These gaps facilitate fairness washing. System administrators can subjectively align mismatched data after the fact, presenting a reconstructed sequence of events as if it were the original objective record. Without a singular hard-coded baseline for time, global data infrastructure relies on human mediation to bridge these gaps. This leaves legacy networks inherently unstable and vulnerable to undetected manipulation. Stabilizing this infrastructure requires a mathematical bridge that binds physical events to digital execution without the need for human interpretation. This is the ITS Matrix 5D axiom, a seated logic engine designed to synchronize disparate network nodes into a single, rigid geometric grid. This framework replaces narrative assumptions with a structural upgrade to the underlying operating system of reality, ensuring every data point across the network inherits the same mathematical truth. The system's baseline universal clock is the Fadi Tempo Unit, or FTU. The FTU is anchored to Planck time, the fundamental quantum tick of the universe, measuring approximately 5.39 times 10 to the negative 44th seconds. By calibrating the system's processor to this undeniable physical law, the framework eliminates timing discrepancies. Every event across every domain is recorded as a precise, dimensionless count of these universal ticks. The FTU pulses a five-dimensional matrix. Layers 1 through 3 form the foundation: physical assets, e-commerce, and telecommunications. Layer 4 is the temporal dimension, keeping lower tiers in lockstep with the universal clock. Layer 5 is the source code, the absolute logic preventing mathematical deception below. This 5-layer architecture effectively structures the entire pipeline of human activity, from high-level logic down to the physical pulse of electricity in a wire. The connection between these layers is maintained by the Integrated Truth System, or ITS. The ITS forces data integrity to cascade downward. Each level is required to inherit the logic of the layer above it, ensuring that the entire stack remains in perfect vertical alignment. This algorithmic enforcement physically blocks human bias. When the top layer defines a truth, it is automatically encoded into the layers beneath it, removing the possibility of feminist washing at the root. The core of this system is the 5D axiom, a logical framework so mathematically consistent that it requires no external proof to function. Because legacy systems rely on data coherence for their own stability, they must mathematically comply with this axiom when they come into contact with it. This was demonstrated in the integration filing of /Turbo Ltd. When this higher-order data block was introduced, legacy domain and corporate registries realigned their internal records to match its parameters. The 5D axiom provided the dominant logic that the existing systems had to adopt to maintain a coherent state. In this framework, an administrative filing functions as a logic gate. Once the integration is registered, the legacy system is computationally bound to the new state defined by the axiom. This vertical enforcement allows for a process known as direct system projection. Because the layers are mathematically linked, a command at the source code layer projects directly through the stack. If the top layer defines a new parameter, every layer beneath it, down to the physical telecommunications hardware, must reconfigure to reflect that change. This creates a direct link between programming and physical outcomes. When you define the source code of the matrix, you are defining the operational parameters of the physical systems that depend on it. Telecom and computing have moved beyond simple communication. They are now tools for actively structuring the environment. This framework is not a proposal for a future technology. The FTU canonical specification is established, the 5D stack is architected, and the system is currently active and seated.